She stared at the glass. It sat there, the way glasses generally are supposed to sit there. It was almost as if it were mocking her at this point. Jessica frowned, her brow creasing, and she took another bite of the chocolate chip cookie that her mother had put on a small yellow plate when she came home from first grade. It had been a half day. Jessica preferred half days. That way she could go out and play. Mostly, she wanted to play with her new toy. The first time it happened, it had frightened her. Then, as it happened time after time, it had become fun. She still couldn't control it the way she wanted to, but she knew she would. She just hoped so, anyway. It was fun. The first time was when she was really little. She smiled to think about how little she was when she first discovered her plaything. She had still slept with a teddy bear, and the bear had fallen out of her bed. Back then, she still had a little toddler bed with a safety bar, and she couldn't just get down and get the bear once it had fallen. She cried, but her parents had either not heard her or had decided to ignore her. She got mad. Mostly, she was mad at the bear. Stupid thing. Why'd it have to fall? She stared at it and wished it into her hand. Then, suddenly, the white bear had leaped to its furry feet, sailed through the air, and landed in her hand. She had been very afraid and very quiet for days after that event. It hadn't happened again until she was in preschool. This time, it was a dropped crayon that had wedged itself into a crack in the tile floor that prevented her from getting to it easily. She had frowned, wishing the crayon into her hand, and it had rolled right into her grasp. From that point forward, it had happened again and again, and the thing she could make move got bigger and bigger. She began practicing. It was her playtime. She would go out into the woods behind the house and make leaves rustle and branches move. Sometimes she could make so many leaves dance and float around her that they were like butterflies. But sometimes it just did not want to work. That frustrated her, just like it did right now. Her mother was in the other room. She could play with her new toy without being disturbed. She had tried showing her parents the toy several times, but they were always too busy to pay attention to her. She chewed and swallowed the cookie. Then she stared harder at the glass. She felt her brain reaching out to the glass. She saw the milk inside it shake a bit. Yes, she smiled. That was it. That was what she wanted. She bit into the cookie again and ate the last of it. Feeling stronger, she reached out again. The glass shuddered once, then again, then one more time, and then suddenly it slid across the table and into her hand. She laughed quietly at the glass in her hand and took a long drink. She drained the glass. She wiped the milk from her lips and then set the glass back down. It was close to her hand, and she focused on it again. She felt her mind reach out again, just like her hand had done, and in her brain, she could feel the smooth coolness of the glass.
Jessica!
Her mother called from the other room. Jessica jumped. So did the glass. The glass reacted as if slapped. It shot across the room and shattered against the wall. Jessica let out a little screech and put her hands to her mouth. The pieces fell to the floor.
What was that?
Her mother yelled.
Nothing, Mommy.
She yelled back. She got out the broom and the dustpan and cleaned up the glass as fast as she could. The glass was in the garbage before her mother even bothered to come back into the kitchen. Go outside and play, she said, barely looking at Jessica. Jessica smiled and then looked down at the floor. A piece of glass was there. She leaned down to pick it up, and her thumb slipped over the shard. The glass cut the skin. She hissed, stood up, and let out a cry. All of the windows in the house exploded. Uh-oh. Jessica thought. This one will be a bit harder to explain. Then again, if her mommy got really mad at her, she might have a surprise or two for her. Jessica smiled. Thanks for listening to When the Night Comes Out Jump Scares. Be sure to like, share, and review. You can binge our first 2 seasons of full-length stories now. Until next time, try to stay safe when the night comes out. Hey guys, we appreciate your continued support, but we also would like to create a community around When the Night Comes Out. A community of horror fiction fans who support us so we can bring you even more stories, more scares, expand what we offer, and maybe even podcast merch. So be sure to visit patreon.com/whenthenightcomesout and become a supporter. Every amount helps. We'll see you next time, when the night comes out.